YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy Yo, and this is another episode of Yo Hoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today's Tuesday, January 20th, and we have a 7-game NBA card. I'm gonna walk you through my thoughts and let you know what sides I like. So please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's recap. Recapping yesterday, I dropped my highlighted play of the day. I took the New York Knicks laying 11.5 points against the Dallas Mavericks. Not even too much I can say about this one. The Mavs B team went into New York and beat the Knicks. Max Christie was the game's leading scorer with 26 points, and the Knicks ended it shooting 40% from the field as a team. It would be one thing if the Mavs got the cover or even won it outright in a competitive bout, but blowing out the Knicks starters by 17 is actually insane. Mind you, this is without Anthony Davis, Lively, or Gafford. Final score was 114 to 97 Mavs. I'm now 3 and 14 on all highlighted plays in January. I don't run from my record at all, but I do have to say the way some of these games are playing out actually has me dumbfounded. No excuses though, have to get back in that win column immediately. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. In our first matchup, we have the Phoenix Suns in Philadelphia taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers are minus 120 on the money line, and the total is 223. Both teams come into this one on the second leg of back-to-backs. The Suns fly in from Brooklyn while the Sixers remain at home. Both teams got dominant wins last night, but between Paul George and Embiid, I would say Philly is the more fragile team, so rest should play more of a factor. I was on the fence since Phoenix has been the best team in the league against the spread, but the Sixers have a winning record on the second leg of back-to-backs. This season, they're 5 and 2 on no rest. That makes sense because, like I mentioned before, Nick Nurse usually conserves minutes on the front end of back-to-backs. The Suns are just 2 and 4 on no rest, considering their lineup's already running thin. Even though these are durable guys, I'll lean to the Sixers on the money line as my first selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the LA Clippers in Chicago taking on Chicago Bulls. Bulls are minus 160 on the money line, and the total is 226. The Clippers come into it on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Washington, D.C. to Chicago. They beat the Wizards in a closely contested game last night, so most of their starters played over 30 minutes. The two key factors for this one are that Kawhi Leonard is ruled out, and Josh Giddey has been upgraded to questionable. Besides Josh, the Bulls already come into it at full strength. If there's a chance they'll have their point guard back, I definitely am laying the points at home. I'm taking the Bulls laying the 3.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the San Antonio Spurs in Houston taking on Houston Rockets. Rockets are minus 170 on the money line, and the total is 221. The Spurs come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back. Not much travel, but they do go from San Antonio to Houston. They got the dominant win over the Jazz last night, so they were able to limit Wemby's minutes, but he's still not a guy that's built for back-to-backs. Devin Vassell is still out, so I don't know if I can count on Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox to keep me competitive on no rest in Houston. The Rockets have now won their last 9 home games in a row. I think they keep the momentum rolling and stack their 10th. I'm taking Houston laying the 4.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves in Utah taking on the Utah Jazz. Wolves are minus 675 on the money line, and the total is 244. The Jazz come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from San Antonio back home to Utah. They got the cover last night against the Spurs, but it still was a 13-point loss, so a lot of their starters played less than 30 minutes. Earlier in the season, the Wolves were solid on the road, but they've now dropped to 10 and 12 against the spread. Tonight, you've got Naz Reid out, and you're headed into Salt Lake City, where the Jazz are 14 and 7 against the spread. Lauri Markkanen is ruled out, but they have Nurkic back, and I can't overlook how well they played at home. I'm taking the Jazz plus a 12.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Los Angeles Lakers in Denver taking on the Denver Nuggets. Lakers are minus 135 on the money line, and the total is 228.5. I definitely thought we'd see Denver struggle without Nikola Jokic, but to my surprise, they're 7 and 3 without him and have a current record of 29 and 14. 4 more wins than the Lakers. We also know they play their best basketball at home, so I think this sets up perfectly for an upset win in the Mile High City. They have a few guys on the injury report, but everyone's listed as probable, so besides Jokic, we should see Denver at full strength. I've been let you guys know how I feel about the Lakers without Austin Reeves. LeBron is 41 years old, so you're relying on Luka to score 40 and carry you through basically every game. Marcus Smart and Jared Vanderbilt aren't getting you a win in Denver. I'm taking the Nuggets plus the 2.5 as my highlighted selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Miami Heat in Sacramento taking on the Sacramento Kings. Heat are minus 165 on the money line, and the total is 238 and a half. The Heat come into this one on the second leg with back to back. Not much travel, but they go from SF to Sacramento. They got their doors blown off by the Warriors last night, but they were able to pull the plug relatively early, so most of their starters played under 30 minutes. Sabonis is back in the lineup for the Kings, which I like, but I see this as a letdown spot where a lot of people are expecting the Kings to show up. We all saw the 4-game win streak recently, and they did look impressive, but this lineup is streaky. Between Westbrook, Levine, and DeRozan, you might get 80 points or you might get 35. It really depends. Miami's a more consistent team, and we've seen that all season, considering they're now 13-7 against the spread coming off a loss. I'm taking the Heat laying the 3.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Toronto Raptors in Golden State taking on Golden State Warriors. Warriors are minus 160 on the money line, and the total is 225. The Warriors come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. They kicked the crap out of the Heat last night, so really all of their starters played under 30 minutes. Draymond has also been upgraded to questionable, so they may have their best defender back in the lineup. At first glance, I wanted to be sharp and grab the points with Toronto since the Dubs are on no rest, but I don't see any specific reason to do so. My point remains that Toronto doesn't have a true point guard to facilitate, and while their forwards have had success recently, that style of play isn't going to cut it against the best point guard of all time. If this game comes down to the wire, which the books are expecting it to, Steph will be able to manage a 4-point win. I'm taking the Warriors laying the 3.5 as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. 3-14 on all highlighted plays in January. It definitely isn't easy reflecting on that type of losing streak, but at the end of the day, that's why nobody else does a recap. I'm transparent because I'm confident that we'll end up in the win column in the long run. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'ma catch y'all. Peace.